Hi, my name is Barry Schwartz, and this is the Search Buzz video recap. Today is Friday, September 23rd, and this is the search news we covered over at the Search Engine Roundtable at scroundtable.com over the past week. As you can potentially see up on the screen over here, is the Google. Let me just open my door here. Sorry. Is the Google Penguin running. It symbolizes that today we actually went live with the Google Penguin 4.0 update, the real-time version of the Google algorithm. This is the big news that was released this morning at 8 a.m. Eastern. I believe it started to roll out over the course of the past week or so. A lot of people noticed it yesterday as well, and now it's officially live. Google confirmed it this morning at 8 a.m. Eastern. It's the real-time version, which means a couple of things. One, it means that Google, as soon as Google recrawls and indexes your content, your URLs, it will pick up on those new links. It will rediscover them. As soon as they reprocess your disavow file, etc., Google will go ahead and reprocess that and reevaluate your Penguin penalty or non-penalty or whatever that is, the algorithm around your site. So it's real time. You could be hit by Penguin in a matter of minutes. You could recover from Penguin in a matter of minutes, depending on how fast Google recrawls and indexes your site. Two, it's more granular, and Google said this Penguin now devalues spam by adjusting rankings based on spam signals rather than affecting ranking on a whole site. So that means to me, you could be impacted by Penguin on a page-by-page basis. Also, they actually using it differently. It's not like your site gets a Penguin score. It's just one of the signals in the spam alarm is Penguin, so it kind of works differently. It's more granular in that base, which is a bit confusing. So just to give you a timeline, Penguin 1.0 on April 24th, 2012, and you can see these timelines. We had a pretty big gap between Penguin 3.0 and this real-time version, Penguin 4.0, which didn't happen until almost 2 years apart. It's about 11 months, a year and 11 months plus. Also, Google said they're not going to go ahead and confirm any future Penguin updates because since it's real time, it's happening literally all the time. They're not going to go ahead and confirm any refreshes. Maybe they'll confirm if they do updates to the actual algorithm itself, but in terms of refreshes, it's happening all the time. They're not going to confirm it. Kind of like they did with Panda when they rolled that into the core algorithm as well. Finally, how do you know if you're impacted? I would definitely take a look at your analytics. See if there's certain pages that were hit and so forth. See if you recovered from a Penguin site, if you got hurt. It's going to be a little bit harder because it's on probably a page-by-page basis now, so some pages might be hurt, some pages might not, and so forth. Use the disavow file, see how fast that happens, and see what goes on. But I really like to thank the folks at Google, specifically Gary and John, for I know that they don't work in the spam team. They work in the webmaster trends analysis team, and all they pretty much do all day is push for webmasters. And I know they've been pushing hard to get this algorithm out, so appreciate them, and of course Google for pushing this out. And hopefully this will make SEOing a little bit easier because you no longer have to wait 2 years for an update. So that's the big news there. Let's move on. Like I said, folks, yesterday we're saying Penguin was rolling out, and they were right. So I had a story about that yesterday, so if you want to check that out, you can. There's tons of comments there. Google said they wouldn't announce dates, but there was somebody walking around adding comments to my blog, sending me emails, some random, I don't know who it was, posting in forums that today would be the day. So this was going on for the past week or so, where somebody was saying September 23rd, which is today, is going to be the day when Penguin launches. Google said they don't have a date to announce, but somebody out there was actually going ahead and posting these news. I don't know who it was, so I didn't really believe it. I guess I was wrong. We also posted a story about should Google comment more about Google algorithm updates and changes. So the past week or so, we've been noticing a lot of fluctuations in the Google search results. Maybe it was Penguin being tested. Maybe it was something else. We don't know because Google is tight-lipped. They weren't talking about anything. So as you can see from my graphic here, I made a cute little graphic that shows Google being tight-lipped. And we discussed all those things, and there was a whole conversation between Christine and Gary and John, and I go through it about what Google should comment about, what they shouldn't, and so forth. I actually put a poll here asking, do you think Google should talk more about algorithmic updates? And we had almost 500 responses. 75+% of you guys want Google to comment more. So we'll see what Google does with that, but it's very interesting to see that. Other big news this week from Google is that they launched their messaging app called Allo. Allo is basically a cool messaging app, which is another one of the messaging apps. They have tons of messaging apps out there. It's cross-platform, et cetera, et cetera. But the cool thing about this is this actually has the preview of Google Assistant. So you can see it in action. You can see, hey, how about we cook some dinner? Let's make sushi. And then it says, Google, show me videos on how to make sushi, and Google does that. So it's kind of like a Google Assistant. I'm kind of not so impressed by it right now. Hopefully it will improve in the future, but it definitely seems to be fairly interesting. I think there's a lot of people watching now, so hopefully, I guess if I see you guys commenting, I might see it on the screen here, but I have to be looking, so if you guys are commenting and I miss it, I apologize. Keep commenting and I might see it pop up on the screen on my iPhone, which is below down there. Other big news is that Google launched AMP in the core mobile results. So Google AMP launched back in February, specifically in the news carousel. So that was up here where it says top news and this carousel would slide. But now AMP is actually live directly in the core search results. So here's a snippet showing AMP in the core search results. So that's a big deal. AMP is now fully live in the core mobile search results, which is cool. But we actually saw signs of that, and they actually officially announced it the day after. So we were always seeing these signs beforehand. We tried to report this stuff before Google actually confirms it based on what the webmaster is seeing. And what's very interesting was that on Friday and Monday, I saw huge surges in traffic to my AMP articles in the news carousel. It wasn't just me. It was a bunch of other webmasters that were seeing this. But here's a screenshot. Let me zoom into that. You can see 6,956 real-time users looking specifically at my article, and that was like a 30-minute period. It was a really long time. I saw similar things throughout the day that day, as well as on other days. You can see here, again, here's more charts. Let me bring that up for you. And you can see over here, this is just AMP content. Normal AMP traffic, spike. This is Friday. This was Monday. But in the Google Search Console report, it doesn't show any spike when I filter by Google AMP specific data. I definitely was coming up in the top stories carousel. You see here's the first article. This was something around Penguin and not announcing dates and so forth. So I think it was a bug. I didn't think I had that much traffic because I do often show up in that top news carousel. And it never sends 7,000 unique visits in a specific day, which is pretty interesting. Google did not confirm the bug. I asked them several times. They're like, enjoy the traffic. I don't think it was real traffic, and there was a lot of publishers that actually saw that, which was interesting. Other big AMP news is that when Google released AMP into the core mobile results, if you have an app and you're deploying Firebase Google App Indexing, like my site does, and you have the app installed, and you go to a search result in the mobile results, if you click on the URL, Google's going to send you to the AMP page over the app URL page. So you're not going to be no longer sending your users to your app page, even if they have it installed. Google said that, let me just share John's tweet. Somewhere here, yeah. Yes, at the moment, let me zoom into that so you can see it. At the moment, if AMP exists for a given URL, then we will send the user to that AMP and not to the app deep link. So again, that's a pretty big change. I'm a bit upset about it. I'd really rather send the person to specifically the app deep link. Could they go into my app? But I think that might change. We'll see what happens and so forth. Another AMP-related thing is that Google, just so you know if you're watching live, I do this every single week on Facebook Live, as well as I publish the archive version on Search Engine Roundtable and on YouTube and on iTunes podcast. So you can definitely subscribe to it. It's very easy, and you can listen to it in your car or wherever you go. Also, Google Search Console, the AMP error report has been updated. They changed the way they scan for errors. Google said it didn't impact indexing or ranking, but if you see a little line over here and your AMP errors and indexing count goes up or down, don't worry. Google said, don't worry. So you see I was getting about 10,000 AMP pages indexed. It dropped down to 7,000. My AMP errors also dropped down a little bit. You can see it over there. And Google said it's specifically just because they did an AMP They changed the way they scan for these errors and so forth. It's an internal change, they said, and don't worry about it. So that's pretty interesting to know. So don't worry about that. Talking about AMP, Google wants you to take a survey on AMP. If you're a webmaster, Google wants you to go to this survey. You can actually access it today, this morning, on the Search Engine Roundtable. And they ask you a bunch of questions around AMP. Go ahead and take that survey, and you'll hopefully help Google figure out what they should do around AMP. Talking about apps and AMP, PWAs, progressive web apps. It's basically a way to make your mobile site look and feel like an app using a Google standard called Google Progressive Web App. It's not a real native app. It's a way of creating like app-like pages on your website. And Google's kind of been pushing this because they want more people to use PWAs because they work better with AMP. And Gary Ilias has been from Google. I'm pronouncing that wrong, obviously. But Gary from Google has been teasing me a little bit about, I should make a PWA version of my website. But I have native apps. If you don't have them, definitely download them. There's links to it in the article. And there's really, I don't see any reason if you have a native app to build a progressive web app for your website in addition to the native app. I don't see a reason for that. Maybe I'm missing it. If you understand why I should, definitely let me know, and I'll go ahead and consider that. But Dwayne Forrester, formerly from Bing, now at Bruce Clay, said, what do you think about that, Gary? Should I go ahead and do it, or are people missing the opportunity? And Gary actually responded in a real way, basically saying, I think people should know what it is and evaluate whether it makes sense for them, but I wouldn't rush into it. So that's good to see. You don't have to rush into this. People think they always have to rush into certain things. Don't rush into PWAs just because Google's kind of pushing it. See if it works for you and so forth. A few weeks ago, we reported about the Google interstitial mobile ad penalty. And Google said it also may impact interstitial ads that pop up when a user scrolls. So obviously the interstitials show up sometimes when you go to the website or there's a delay for a few seconds, but some actually implement it when you scroll, then the pop-up happens, and Google said it actually could impact those as well. So it's not just on load, it's also on scroll as well that it can impact it. We've been covering this test for a while. Let me zoom in a little bit so you can see it. Google's testing this card layout, but this one is a little bit different. It actually has a little shadow effect, really bringing out those cards. It looks better than the original one that I saw back in the day, which looks like this. This less of a shadow. This has more of a shadow. But personally, I really dislike this card layout. I hope Google doesn't launch it, but they've been testing it like crazy over the past almost year or so now, so it's pretty interesting to see. Google launched Google Trips. Google Trips is basically a really, really nice way to plan your trips and then to download that trip data so that when you do travel, you can bring up, even off Wi-Fi or off data connection, you can bring up your itinerary, your flight information, your hotel information, directions to go places, and so forth. It's really, really cool. It gives you places to go. So for a person like me that hates to travel, that doesn't really go places, I go lots of places, but I never actually go to destinations or sightseeing or anything. It might be useful. It might be very cool to see. Cool, I'm getting some comments here. With this, I believe Google launched a new SERP experience, search engine results experience, for flights and vacations. So if you do a search for Caribbean flights or whatever, Caribbean vacations, you'll get this new popular destinations feature. You can actually see different popular destinations at the Caribbeans. So let me zoom in a little bit so you can see that. And then when you click on it, it actually gives you this really rich experience showing you a 7-day trip will cost you about $931, flights at this cost, average hotel cost, and then it brings you into different sightseeings and a lot more information, which is very, very cool and very, very nice to see. Google also has a new experience for book searches. So now if you do a search for books, you'll get this option over here to actually preview a book. And when you click on that, that takes you into Google Books, the preview option. So that's a pretty cool experience. We're almost done here. Just two AdWords items. Google AdWords announced a new method for implementing call tracking conversion snippets. So if you want to actually embed a call tracking number on your website, you could actually embed some script on your website. You don't have to actually define the number in there, and it actually makes it much easier for you to actually deploy these call tracking numbers. You just tell Google the information, and it should automatically happen on a landing page by landing page basis. And finally, this is kind of funny. Let me zoom in again so you can actually see this. So Google is actually telling people that their AdWords certification, so if you're a Google partner and you have AdWords certification, you click on the AdWords certification in the dashboard, it says that it's valid through December 31st, 1969. That's a typical Google programmer bug, a coding bug. Google said, don't worry about it. It's a bug. You are valid. Don't worry about it. And Google's been telling this people for the past several days, so actually 3 or 4 days. They haven't fixed it yet, but it's pretty funny, and I wouldn't worry about that. In any event, thanks so much for listening to the Search Buzz video recap. Hope you guys fared well with the Penguin update. It doesn't seem to be impacting too many people that much that right away, but this is rolling out over time now, just like Panda. Probably not as slowly as Panda, but Google has to recrawl, re-index those pages, reevaluate the signals, and it'll push it out probably on a page-by-page basis. In any event, again, my name is Barry Schwartz. This is the search video recap that I posted on a weekly basis at the Search Engine Roundtable at seroundtable.com. You could, of course, watch it live on Facebook, get the archive on Search Engine Roundtable, subscribe to it on YouTube or on iTunes. And everyone have a great weekend. Again, today is Friday, September 23rd. I'll see you guys next. Bye.